Hello, everybody. Some would say I'm the reverse, and welcome to my review for Batwoman Season 1, Episode 12, titled Take Your Choice. Let's get right into it. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was one of the best episodes of this season so far. I think I might even like it better than last week's episode, since I really liked last week's episode. But this week, I don't know. I really did like this. I really liked this episode. Let's get into the plot of it. So basically, Alice, now that she's escaped, um, the crows are hunting her, and they have all these checkpoints around the city, making sure they check to make sure Alice doesn't escape, and there's a little bit of story going on with that. We'll talk about that later, but that's basically the situation with like the status of the city right now with Alice on the loose. Obviously, last week we had Beth from another Earth, from Earth 99, I believe it was. Um, the Beth from that Earth. And she began having these migraines and stuff at the end of last week's episode. And so did Alice. And we learned that it's because they are doppelgangers. They can't coexist on one Earth. So that's why they're having migraines. They're having bloody noses, bloody ears, and stuff like that. They're coughing up blood. So that's why they they're feeling that way. And basically, take your choice. The name of the episode basically means they have to choose between which one will live, which one will die, because they cannot both live, or else they'll both die. If they try to save both of them will die. So only one can live, one can die, or one has to die. So Sophie and Sophie and Mary are still trying to get Jacob out of prison. We get a little bit of Jacob's storyline. They're meeting with that Dr. Campbell, I believe his name is. Um, they meet with him, and he has a very interesting storyline in this episode. Very, very interesting, unexpected storyline. I'll talk about that later. But we have a little bit of Jacob in this episode where they're trying to free him, basically. And this Dr. Campbell is the one that Mary met up with either last. I think it might have been, it was episode 10, yeah, I remember. Um, she met up with him to try to get Jacob free, but he didn't believe her when she was talking about Mouse basically recreating someone's face and wearing it, which I thought was kind of stupid considering they're on Earth Prime where the Flash and Supergirl and Superman are. But we later learn Dr. Campbell's agenda, and we'll get like I said we'll get to his storyline in this episode. Um, but Alice basically disguises herself as this Crow's operative, this Crow's like employee. I don't know what just Crow's officer, I guess. And she visits Mouse in, I believe it was like the infirmary at the Crow's place. Yeah, it must have been. Um, so she visits him there, and he's testing her on like using like catchphrases from Alice in Wonderland, because if you remember last week, that's how he basically tested to see if Alice was really Alice when it was Beth, and that's how he caught her. And now he's super paranoid about it, so he's doing that, and she passes obviously because it is the real Alice. And she she says she needs to do some digging and realize why her ears are bleeding, why she has migraines, why she's coughing up blood and stuff. She needs to do some digging. She'll be back to come and save him. Um, and then she goes to Beth's, where Beth is. Uh, she's looking for Kate, but she finds Beth, and she tries to kill her because Beth kind of informs her about the whole situation, which I thought was kind of stupid. If I was Beth, I'd lie and say it was just something different for some. I don't know what I'd say, but basically she told her that only one of them could live, so Alice just tried to kill her, and then Batwoman saved her. Kate saved her, not Batwoman. Kate saved her, and then Alice disappeared. Um, but then Alice also visits Mary, and she's trying to get a sample of her blood, because if you remember back to episode 8, um, after Catherine was poisoned, well, they were both poisoned. There was an antidote, only one antidote, that could like cure anything, and Mary took it. So most likely, Alice thinks that there's still a little bit of that antidote in her blood. So she wants to get a blood sample. She goes there, and she eventually does get a blood sample, and yeah, it ends up in Kate's hands, and Kate has to choose who to save, Beth or Alice, and but we'll get to that. There's a little bit of a conflict with the crows hunting Alice, and they also are gunning for Beth because they obviously do not know the difference between the two. They just know about Alice, and they have to hide Beth in the Batcave, so that Beth now knows that Kate is Batwoman. Um, they hide her in the Batcave, so because Alice ratted her out to the crows and told them that Beth was at Wayne Tower. So they surrounded the building, they went in, and they hid in the Batcave. Beth and Luke and Kate hid in the Batcave. Let's talk about the Mouse storyline a little bit. That Dr. Campbell guy, he went to visit Mouse to try to get him to talk, try to get him to um, confess to murdering Catherine and wearing Jacob's face. And he takes his face off, and it's revealed that Dr. Campbell is actually Johnny's father, Cartwright. I think his name is Augustus. I had to do some research to figure that out, but he's actually Augustus Cartwright, the guy from the flashbacks that's Johnny's father, and he's the guy that held Beth captive in his basement, in his like dungeon, sort of, for all those years. So it's cool to see him in present day, even though it doesn't really look like he's aged one bit, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, that was a huge plot twist. I was not expecting that. Um, it just came out of left field. I feel like um, it it didn't really make a lot of sense that Dr. Campbell didn't believe anyone. Kept calling like wearing other people's faces science fiction. Um, I don't know. It just felt unbelievable that anyone could be that naive on Earth Prime, because superheroes and metahumans exist like all around that world. So, but it turns out it was just because he had an agenda, and he basically takes Mouse hostage. So now Alice cannot save Mouse now, because Johnny's father has Johnny captive. So yeah, um, Beth got given the blood sample, so the antidote thing, and it seemingly saves her. Um, so this causes Alice to die, which was actually a pretty cool scene. Um, Kate gave Beth the antidote, then she went to go visit Alice to say her goodbyes, and they hugged as she died, which was actually a really emotional scene. Like, not for me, but like it was actually a pretty sad scene, because obviously Kate and Alice are mortal enemies at this point, but they're still sisters, and there's still a love there. And yeah, this scene was just kind of sad. But after Alice dies, Beth is saved. Um, there is a sniper. Well, Sophie is about to shoot Beth, but she doesn't. She decides not to, um, and instead, uh, Cartwright, Johnny's dad, was there, and he shot Alice. Um, or he shot Beth, not Alice. But he thought it was Alice, just like Sophie thought it was Alice. That's why she was trying to shoot her. But Cartwright thought it was Alice, so he killed her. And Cartwright wanted to kill Alice basically because well, not only does he not like her, but she's basically the reason that Johnny betrayed him, which we didn't get to see yet in the flash. Maybe we'll get to see that in the flashbacks later, but we haven't seen that yet. But it's just been explained in this episode that Johnny betrayed his own father, basically because of Beth, and he does not like her. So he shot who he thinks is Alice. It's Beth. Um, he kills her. She's seemingly dead. Uh, and then Alice wakes up when Kate is hugging her, and she knocks Kate out, or she hits her with that pan thing. So she basically knocks her out, and yeah, that's basically all that happened in the Alice and Beth storyline. That's basically just everything. Um, we also had another sort of we had another Jacob scene where he's getting attacked by Dodgson in the locker room. Um, and Dodgson is the Crow's officer for the first few episodes that was working with Alice. He attacked Jacob, and but Jacob was saved by that black dude, um, who was like being a dick to him, or in last was it last episode, episodes 10 or 11, but it was that big dude that called him puppy dog. He saved Jacob, and he's basically expecting Jacob to repay him. Um, now that the prison, now that everyone in prison knows what happened, that he saved a cop, basically a cop. It doesn't really matter. Um, he's expecting Jacob to get him out of prison now. Um, we also had a scene. I forgot to mention this of Alice hallucinating Catherine when she was dying. Um, it was kind of cool to see Catherine back. Like I don't like the character, but people that like her, it'll be cool for them to like get another scene with her, I guess. But I can't imagine anyone really liking her. I don't like her character. She's kind of boring, and she's honestly a witch. She sucks. I hate her. But I guess it was kind of cool seeing her basically taunt Alice, uh, even though it was a hallucination. She said she will save Alice a special spot in hell. So yeah, I guess is there anything else for me to talk about? Um, Not really. I think I got it all, but yeah, I really liked this episode. I think it had some pretty good plot twists and some crazy stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened. Um, with Alice dying and then Beth dying, Alice coming back to life. We had Campbell, or Dr. Campbell is revealed to actually be Johnny's father, which was crazy. That was completely out of left field. It was hinted at, like, just like the dialogue between him and Johnny, it was only like 30 seconds before he took his face off. But before that scene, I had no idea that was where that was gonna go. That was crazy, honestly. I don't know how long he's been. I don't know how long he's actually been him, but um that was really cool. That was a cool plot twist that I did not expect at all. But yeah, tell me in the comments what you thought about this episode. I'd probably give this episode maybe an 8.6 or something. I thought it was a really good episode. Probably one of like maybe top three in the entire season, other than the Crisis episode. Even though it was probably the worst. It was the worst Crisis episode. Um, I do think it still is the best Batwoman episode. Um, but yeah, I think episode 5 is better than this one. Um, I think that might be the only one. I really enjoyed this episode. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned. My Supergirl review will be up shortly. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow after I get done with school. Yeah, Flash comes back tomorrow for episode 12. So obviously I'll be watching that along with Legends has another episode. So yeah, I got a pretty busy schedule with the Arrowverse. I also have I just finished watching the Clone Wars season 4, so whenever I have time to upload that, I'll rank all the episodes. I also went to go see Birds of Prey today, so I'll be doing a DCEU films ranked video in the near future. So stay tuned for that. That'll be sort of a different video on my channel since I haven't really done any DCEU content ever. But yeah, I got a pretty packed schedule for videos. I'll just keep them coming. Obviously, I'll be doing my Flash and Arrow episodes ranked, just like I do every week. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.